We expect President Obama to comment on this morning's attacks in about 45 minutes or so during a much-anticipated speech to the Cuban people. NBC's Andrea Mitchell is in Havana traveling with the president. Andrea, good morning again.
Good morning again, Matt. The president should be speaking, as you say, around 10:20. That is the time he was going to go on Cuban television and speak to the Cuban people, an unprecedented speech, speaking about human rights before he meets with dissidents later. Now, of course, he's going to begin that speech, I understand, with comments, the first comments from an administration official about the Paris attacks. We expect that he will try to calm fears and talk about communication with our counterintelligence officials and foreign ministers in other capitals, about conversations with Belgian counterparts as well as French and British and others engaged, and how there is coordination. That said, there's a lot of concern among national security officials that there has not been enough coordination within Europe, and that borders have not been secured, that borders are still open, as Matt and Savannah, you've been reporting, according to the European system, but that European Union system is now going to be closely examined. Also, we should point out that the president did in December, on December 17th, he met privately with columnists, print columnists, and then later, subsequently, with Jeffrey Goldberg in a series of exclusive interviews for The Atlantic about his foreign policy. And he has acknowledged he did not respond quickly enough to reassuring the American people after Paris. He was about to travel to the G20 in Turkey. Similarly, after San Bernardino, there was concern the president did not respond quickly enough. But certainly after Paris, he did not immediately go on television and talk to people in America about how they should feel and how the government was responding. So I think you'll see an attempt today by the president to respond. He is still expected to meet with the dissidents at the embassy. Then we don't know whether he will complete the schedule. They say he will. He, of course, was scheduled to attend that Cuban-American baseball game, and that follows his loosening of regulations last week that would allow for the first time Cuban players to sign with the MLB potentially without having to defect from Cuba. So a lot has been going on, scurrying around the national security officials with the president here today.
Yeah, it's an important trip, but of course been overtaken by these terrible events in Brussels. Andrea,
Exactly.
Thank you.
Pete was talking a little bit ago about how in this country, although there have been no direct orders to change anything in the way that security is carried out at airports or train stations or bus stations, that you can expect to see more of a police presence at some of those locations. It's something we're very familiar with here where we broadcast from. You can see, I think, some police officers, larger number than normal behind me here. I think a lot of this is a visual deterrent, but also I think a lot of it is to comfort people and let them know that things are being looked after. I know here in Rockefeller Center, when we see what is a special tactical unit arrive on the street corner next to us, some people think it makes them nervous. I find it makes me feel much more secure and much more comfort. And I often say to those police officers, thank you for being here. You're going to see that at locations like that all around the country.
Yeah, and it's nice to say thank you because these are intense times for them as well.